Please proceed.
Salman, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
The video, you need to allow me permission to do the video.
I need to allow you permission to do the video, okay?
Yes, it says the host has to give permission.
Okay. I've given you the. Now you're the host.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can see you. You're the host now.
Okay, Bismillah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah ma ba'd. First and foremost, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless each and every one of you whom Allah Azza wa Jal has chosen to go for the sacred journey. And I must confess that I have a halal jealousy of all of you. It is a jealousy that is halal because we're allowed to want good, and Allah has chosen you for an amazing good. In fact, the greatest good that any Muslim can be given, the greatest blessing that any Muslim can be given after that of Islam is the blessing to go for Hajj, because no one deed forgives an entire lifetime of sins like Hajj does. No one deed raises the maqam of a person as higher as Hajj does. No one deed has been guaranteed that if you do it properly, guaranteed, you shall enter Jannah. There is no reward for Hajj less than Jannah. So you either pass and you go to Jannah, or you don't. So it's literally an either or. There is no jaza for a Hajj that is accepted that is less than Jannah. So alhamdulillah, Allah has chosen you to undertake the most sacred and the most blessed of all good deeds that a Muslim can do, and that is the sacredness, the sanctity of the Hajj. Now, obviously, we're all aware, painfully aware, obviously, of the changes that have taken place. And I must say, this is not the purpose of today's webinar. So really, we'll not be entertaining any questions about logistics and whatnot. That's not, I have, none of us has anything to do. It is what it is. May Allah Azza wa Jal grant you sabr and make it easy. We have no control or even knowledge, and we are just like all of you. I've done, alhamdulillah, almost 20 Hajjs. Dar es Salaam has been doing Hajj for 50 or 45 years, and we are now completely in the dark and clueless, and Allah make it easy. That's all I can say. If you're following what's going on, my sincere du'as are for all of you, and perhaps you will need a new level of patience that previous years did not have to have, and perhaps in that will be your kafara and your forgiveness. So just go prepared for extra patience, and go prepared expecting perhaps things to be not, as promised to you. And, in that will be your, I'm not justifying, I'm simply saying in that struggle might be your kafara, inshallah ta'ala, for Jannah, inshallah ta'ala. So Bismillah. Let us begin. I'm going to talk very briefly about the outlines of Hajj, and then inshallah leave some time for Q&A. Realize, brothers and sisters, that all too often the average pilgrim Hajj makes Hajj far more complicated than it needs to be, and gets way too involved in the petty issues of ihram, for example, and in the process forgets the spirit of Hajj. Now, I'm not telling you that the issues of ihram are completely irrelevant. What I am saying is, too many Hujjaj get lost in the smaller minutiae, the finer details, and they become obsessed over, can I do this, can I not do that? And in the process, they forget the bigger spirituality. And that is that you are now journeying to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, opening up your heart to Him, raising your hands to Him, making dua to Him, repenting to Him, turning back to Him. That is the main purpose of Hajj. Do not become so overwhelmed by, can I put this on? Can I scratch here? Can I pull a hair out? And you become so obsessed with this, subhanAllah. All of the issues of ihram can easily be overcome by a small kafara. Don't fret over the small stuff, as they say. Don't worry over the small stuff. And as well, understand that Hajj is a very confusing time about rituals and manasik, and may Allah help you. We wish I was there. I wish somebody was there to guide you. Perhaps you might have other people there. Hajj is not the time to do detailed fiqh research. What I suggest all of you do logistically, what I suggest all of you do before you go, contact a shaykh whose WhatsApp number you have that you trust, and who knows Hajj, fiqh of Hajj, and has done Hajj. I cannot overemphasize, find somebody who's done Hajj a few times, because if you just study Hajj from the books and you've never done it, then it's very confusing even if you studied it. So find a sheikh in your locality, somebody whom you trust. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, I wish I could offer my services, but I will be in Masjid al-Aqsa. I have a group going over there, and I will not be available online. I have a group over there, and I will not be able to do that. But if I were sitting at home during these 10 days, Allah knows that it would be my honor to open up a Telegram group and answer fatawa and Q&A as much as Allah has blessed me and made me able to do. But unfortunately, I will not be able to do that. So what I suggest you do before you go on this journey is to find a sheikh whom you trust and have a conversation with him. The sheikh, I need to ask you, if I need to ask you any questions, how can I contact you? And then simply do as the sheikh says. Don't get involved in fatwa shopping and whatnot. It's very confusing. And understand that Hajj is really, the reason why it's confusing, we make it more confusing. In reality, Hajj is super, super simple. So I'm going to go over 2 lists for you. Well, actually 3 lists. Okay, let me take a step back. I'm going to go over 3 lists for you. If you're not, if you don't have paper and pen, it might be good to have paper and pen now, or this is being recorded. You can listen to this later on. The first list are the types of Hajj. Now, because the whole logistics have changed, generally speaking, we would skip over this list and we would assume that everybody's doing one of the 3 types of Hajj, that is tamattu. But from what I understand, many of you are going to be landing in Mecca basically a day or 2 before the Hajj and basically beginning the Hajj almost instantaneously. If that is the case, then realistically, there are 2 options. The third one we'll skip over for now because most people are not going to be doing that. Know that there are 3 types of Hajj. Realistically, there's 2 options for you. Those 2 options are very straightforward. It's about how you combine an Umrah and a Hajj. An Umrah is a minor pilgrimage. It just consists of tawaf and sa'i, ihram obviously, tawaf and sa'i, and then shaving or trimming the head. That's an Umrah. It can be done any time of the year. A Hajj is more than this, and it's only done during the actual days of Hajj. Okay. Now, most Hujjaj combine an Umrah with a Hajj. There are multiple ways of doing this. I'll mention 2 of them. The first, which is the default for most of the Hujjaj previous years, and that is they would separate the Umrah from the Hajj. So they undertake a full Umrah, then they get out of Ihram, they live a normal life, there are no restrictions, and then they re-enter Ihram the day of Hajj, or the first day of Hajj, which is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. And then they do the 5 days of Hajj, and then they get out of Ihram whenever they do the Rami of the Jamarat. So that's going to be a separate Hajj, a separate Umrah. This is called Hajj Tamattu', the Hajj of ease. The reason it's called ease is because between the Umrah and between the Hajj, you left Ihram, so life became easy. You could wear normal clothes, you could enjoy perfumes and whatever else non-Hujjaj are able to do without any issue. So this is the Hajj of ease, Hajj Tamattu'. Umrah by its own, Hajj by its own. What is the best situation to do Hajj Tamattu'? When you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days between your arrival to Mecca and between the beginning of the Hajj. If you have more than 2 days, between even a day and a half, if you have some time between your arrival to Mecca and between the beginning of Hajj, you might consider Hajj Tamattu'. And you will then you will do a full Umrah, which means you get into Ihram when you're supposed to get into Ihram at the Miqat, you do Tawaf, you do Sa'i, and then you trim your hair or you cut your hair. If you're a sister, you just cut a forelock of the hair, then khalas, you're out. Then you will start the Hajj on the 8th and do a full Hajj. This is called Hajj Tamattu'. However, if the time is limited, let's say 1 day, or even if you're uncertain and you don't want to do the burden of getting out and whatnot, it's probably easier for you to just combine. Then you can do something called Hajj Qiran. Hajj Qiran from Hajj of combining. Qarana means to combine. Hajj Qiran, you do Umrah and you do Hajj in one Ihram without getting out. Now, the difference between Tamattu' and Qiran is that number 1, you get out of Ihram in Tamattu' between the 2. You don't get out of Ihram in Qiran. And number 2, there is only 1 Sa'i in Qiran at the beginning. You do not have to do Sa'i in the days of Hajj. I repeat, Hajj Tamattu', you do full Umrah with its Sa'i, you get out of Ihram, you do full Hajj with its Tawaf and Sa'i, and then that is your Hajj. Hajj Qiran, you will combine between Umrah and Hajj with one ihram. You will not get out of ihram, but you get one perk. And that perk is your one sa'i, not your tawaf. Tawaf, you have to do both. The beginning and in the middle of the sa'i, in the beginning of Hajj, that's your Hajj, that's your tawaf of the Umrah. Then after the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, you will do a tawaf that is the tawaf of Hajj, the tawaf al-Ifada. So you will always have two tawafs at minimum, and most of you will have a third tawaf, which is the tawaf of going away, tawaf al-Wada'. So Qiran, you will have one ihram, two tawafs at minimum, usually three, and one sa'i only for the entire duration of the entire days of Hajj. Please don't get confused. I'm crystal clear. One sa'i only. That one sa'i that you do when you land shall suffice your sa'i for both Hajj and Umrah. This is the perk that you get for Hajj Qiran. Okay, so these are the two main Hajjs. There's a third type called Hajj Ifrad, which there is no Umrah. Ifrad means by itself, fard by itself, and that's only Hajj. And that if you want to, you can do that as well. But there's really no need. I mean, for most of you who are coming, you should choose one of the first two. Jayyid. Okay, now what I want you to, that's the first list, the types of Hajj. The second list, very simple. There are four things that if you do not do them, you have not done Hajj, and you cannot make them up. So your Hajj will be invalid if you don't do these four things. Therefore, whatever you do, these are the four things you need to memorize for your Hajj. Number one, your declaration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are doing the Hajj and entering the place and state of Ihram and undertaking the pilgrimage. This is called the niyyah of Ihram. A lot of people get confused, and they confuse the cloth of Ihram with the niyyah of Ihram. The two are separate. You may enter the niyyah of Ihram, and if you're wearing my clothes right now, you will pay a penalty, but your niyyah is still done. So the niyyah of Ihram is different than the wearing of the cloth of Ihram. Ideally, you combine them, and that's the default, and that's what everybody does. But don't get confused. The niyyah is not the cloth. The niyyah is when you come to the miqat, before the miqat, you're supposed to say, labbaik Allahumma hajjan wa umrah, or labbaik Allahumma labbaik, whatever it is, you say labbaik, and you say, oh Allah, whatever language you say, oh Allah, I'm intending to do a Hajj, make this a blessed Hajj for me, an easy Hajj for me, make your du'as over here. So this is the ihram, number one of four. Once again, the ihram is a declaration to Allah that you are entering into the state of Hajj and you are intending to do the Hajj. Ideally, when you say the ihram, you're wearing the cloth of ihram, but that's not a condition, as we're going to come to. That's not we call it a rukun. That is not a one of the four pillars of Hajj. So the first is ihram. Number two of the pillars of Hajj, if you don't do it, then there is no Hajj. Number two, you must be standing in Arafat on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. If you are not in Arafat on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, there is no Hajj. If you get there on the 8th and leave on the 8th, that's not Hajj. If you get there on the 11th, that is not Hajj. If you don't go to Arafat, that is not Hajj. So you must be in Arafat on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. That is a rukun, that is an essential pillar of Hajj. Number three, the tawaf of Hajj, called tawaf al-Ifada. And number four, the sa'i of Hajj, which if you are doing Qiran, will have already been done in the beginning. And if you're doing tamattu', then you will do it at any time, after you enter into the ihram on the 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th, you will do the sa'i. So these are the four fundamental pillars. Without them, there is no Hajj. Okay? So these are the ones you must really concentrate on. Do not become so obsessed with the minutiae of ihram that you forget these four arkan. Because these four arkan you can never make up. 90% of the questions Hujjaj ask have to do with the most trivial aspect of Hajj, which is, what can I not do in the state of ihram? Can I wear this? Can I use perfume soap? Can I put lotion? This is in all of the list of Hajj, it comes on the footnotes. It is the most trivial. Yet for some reason, Shaitan makes us obsessed with those footnotes. Just learn some basic stuff and move on. The big thing, the bigger things are these arkan, which is the second list. And then the third list I'm going to do is the wajibat of Hajj. What is the difference between a rukun and a wajib? The difference is very simple. A rukun, as I said, you cannot make up. If you don't do one of these four things, there is no Hajj. You haven't done Hajj. As for a wajib, in case you miss it, you may make it up by giving the penalty of an animal, a sacrifice animal to be given to the pilgrims of the Hajj. And you go to any booth and you pay money and you say, I need one kafara, one dam, one hadi for missing a wajib. So a wajib can be made up, but not a rukun. A wajib can be made up, but your Hajj if you did it, if you left a wajib intentionally, then that's not good. And you've kind of sort of diminished the reward of your Hajj. If you leave a wajib unintentionally, then you are forgiven, but you should make a kafara. So your Hajj is fully complete, but you should make a kafara. Sometimes a wajib is not able to be done because of logistical reasons. And so if that happens, know that your Hajj is fully complete, but you must pay a dam or a kafara. You must pay a hadi, as we call it, in order to make up for the missing wajib. So what are the wajibat? You can write these down. There are 7 wajibat. Just understand, by the way, that I'm teaching you one madhab or position, and it is up to you which one you're going to follow. Now is not the time to start deciding what not. So if you're going to trust me, then this is what I'm teaching you, good for you. And if you want to study from somebody else, they might give you 6 or 8 or 9, and it's all fine, it's all good. Don't sweat the small stuff. You're learning fiqh from, inshallah, somebody who's trained. I've done Hajj almost 20 times. I know this stuff inside out. Feel free to trust me or trust any scholar. Then don't worry, don't look back. Remember, the issue of Hajj is not these detailed fiqh. The issue of Hajj is the heart, the qalb, the dua, the ikhlas, the ibadah, the tawakkul. The issue of Hajj is you're making istighfar and turning over a new leaf. That is the real Hajj. The rest of the stuff is the skeleton. You need to know it, but that's not the spirit. That's not the ruh of Hajj. So what are the wajibat of Hajj? 7 things. 7 things. Number 1 is that you enter ihram at the miqat. You will say, didn't I just say that ihram is a rukun? I say, yes, ihram is a rukun. To enter ihram at the miqat is a wajib. So suppose you went beyond the miqat and you realize, oh, hey, the miqat is 10 miles behind me and you're not able to go back. No problem. You make the ihram from where you are because that's the rukun. And you pay a dam, an animal, because you passed the miqat area. Now you're all going by plane, so the pilot will always make an announcement. We're about to pass the miqat in 30 minutes. We're about to pass the miqat in 10 minutes. And you may enter the miqat and ihram before the miqat, no problem. You just cannot enter after. So if the pilot says, we're about to enter the miqat in 10 minutes, you may say right then and there, okay, let me just say labbaik Allahumma hajj so that I'm safe. No problem. You can enter before the miqat, but you cannot enter after without a penalty. So this is 1 of 7. Number 2 of 7 is that you stand in Arafat until the Maghrib of that day. If you were to leave Arafat before Maghrib, then you have to give a penalty. And that's not going to be a problem because once you're in Arafat, they shut the doors down. You must remain in Arafat until Maghrib time. So this is point number 2. Number 3, that you remain in Muzdalifah for at least half of the night. You remain in Muzdalifah for at least half of the night. So once you get to Muzdalifah, you must remain there up until the middle of the night. What is the middle of the night? You look at Salat al-Maghrib and Salat al-Fajr and you divide by 2. That's the middle of the night. So usually it's going to be between 11:30 to 12:30, but sometimes maybe 1 o'clock. I'll have to see what times they are. But generally speaking, you're going to get to Mina late. Okay, you're probably going to get to Mina 9 p.m. No problem. You stay from 9 p.m. up until the middle of the night. Then if you wish to leave Muzdalifah, you may leave. And if you wish to stay until Fajr, you may stay. But it is obligatory, wajib, to stay in Muzdalifah for until the middle of the night. The next wajib of Hajj is to remain the majority of the nights of Mina in Mina during the days of Tashriq. And that is, of course, on the 10th and 11th. So you stay in Mina. So I'm sure all of you have done the basics of Hajj. The first day of Hajj, which is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, completely it is sunnah. If you skipped it, you don't have to give any penalty. But it is good to get into the mood, the preparation. The 8th of Dhuhr is when you begin, and the morning of the 9th, you will go to Muzdalifah. That's when Hajj really begins, Muzdalifah. Sorry, astaghfirullah. On the 9th, you will go to Arafat. That's when Hajj really begins, Arafat. So you will spend 9th in Arafat all the way until Maghrib. Then when the sun sets on Maghrib, then you will make your way to Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah is obligatory, wajib, until the middle of the night. And then after this, on the 10th day, you have a number of things you have to do. 4 things, you can do them in any order. Of them is that you have to sacrifice an animal, and this is an obligation, it is wajib. Of them is that you have to throw the jamarat, this is also wajib. And of them is that you have to shave or trim your hair, this is also wajib. And of them is that you must do tawaf al-wada', this is not wajib, this is a rukun. Okay, so these are the 4 things that you should do on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah in any order, and you may delay the tawaf for a day or 2, no problem. So the sacrifice is not done by you because it's done by the government, you pay them the money. So in reality, there are 2 things that you must do on the morning of the 10th. They are both wajib. If you don't do them, you have to pay penalty. The first, it's not in any order, you can do it in any order. Throwing stones at the large jamra on the 10th. The 11th and 12th, you do all 3. On the 10th, you only do the large. So on the 10th, you will throw the stones, and then you will shave your hair or trim your hair, whichever you want to do. And you are then free from ihram. You can get out of ihram, change your clothes, take a shower with perfume, put on the most perfume you want, shave your, whatever you want to do, no problem. All of this is now permissible for you, except of course intimacy, which is not even possible logistically for Hajj anyway. But intimacy is only allowed after you've done tawaf al-ifadah, which is the tawaf of Hajj. And the final wajib of Hajj, the 7th wajib of Hajj, is the tawaf al-wada'. The tawaf al-wada' is not linked to the rites of Hajj. The tawaf al-wada' is linked to your departure from Mecca. Understand this point. The farewell tawaf has nothing to do with the actual days of Hajj. So once upon a time, people would stay in Mecca for a month, 2 months. Tawaf al-wada' is obligatory when you leave at the end of that month or 2. Before you leave, you must say farewell to the Kaaba, tawaf al-wada'. If you don't do so, then there's a penalty on you. That penalty is lifted for the woman in menses. She does not have to pay any penalty for the tawaf al-wada'. That is not obligatory on her. So these are the wajibat of Hajj. Now, as I said, in the state of ihram, certain things are not allowed to do. And this is where, as I said, so many questions and confusions happen. And I tell you, wallahi, don't make Islam more difficult than it needs to be. Islam is easy. Look, you may use any lotion or soap or anything that is normal and not meant for perfume. Me personally, I don't have a problem with soap that has perfume in it because it is not perfume. But if you really want to be super strict and ultra hardcore, no problem. Buy a scent-free, soap and lotion. That's fine, up to you. Me personally, I have no problem, because what is forbidden is that you put on perfume, cologne, itar. And this soap, it is not meant to be perfume. It is perfumed. It is not perfume. Big difference between the two. You may eat food that has scent in it, and no problem there. So as well, in the state of ihram for men, as you're aware, there should be the 2 loose garments, the unstitched, as they say. By unstitched, if you go over my videos, you will hear me say this clearly. Unstitched means a stitch here. We should stop using this term, unstitched. What they mean is that a garment that covers a limb, like a shirt. This is a stitched garment, okay? Or the pantalon, pants, that's a stitched garment. So what is meant by unstitched is that you wrap it around yourself. That's what is meaning by unstitched. So you wrap around, this is for men, and obviously, therefore, undergarments will be considered stitched, and pants are considered stitched, and shalwar kameez is considered stitched. So men should avoid this. As for women, of course, their regular clothing is completely permissible, and except if they are ladies who wear niqab, they should remove the niqab and just lower if they want their headscarf over their face, if they want to do that. So this, in a nutshell, are the main arkan and the wajibat of Hajj. And as I said, don't get involved in the minutiae as much as the spirit of Hajj. Realize that Hajj is the day of Arafah, and the blessings of Arafah are more than anybody can imagine. The fact that Allah has chosen you to be on that day at that plane, it is in and of itself the biggest blessing that Allah can give you. So my advice to all of you is very simple. Concentrate on the spirit of Hajj more than the legal technicalities, and expect your patience to be tried. And I'm not telling you this so that you don't get your haqq from those that you deserve. That's definitely, you have to make that, also a part of your, but be careful with your tongue. Be careful to lose your temper such that it invalidates your Hajj. And whatever has happened, and no matter how bad and difficult it is, once you arrive on the 9th in Arafat, forget the past and concentrate on the present. And open up your heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and guide you, to forgive you. Make dua to Allah to grant you a new life when you return, a genuine turning over of the new leaf. And if a person does not come back from Hajj a changed man, then in reality he has not done Hajj properly. If you do not come back from Hajj a different person than when you left, then you have done your Hajj improperly. There is no deed that should be more transformative than the Hajj. And if you do not transform during the Hajj, then clearly you have not understood the goal of Hajj. So from now, make up your intention that I'm going for Hajj, not to just mark something off my bucket list that, okay, khalas, I don't have to do this anymore. No, you are going for Hajj, listen to me, brothers and sisters, in order that your life be transformed to be a better Muslim. That's why you're going for Hajj. If that is not your niyyah, then correct your niyyah before it is too late. Your niyyah should be that I am literally going to come back a new person, a new man or a new woman, that the old man or woman that used to exist, khalas, that is gone. We will raise the bar so high, and my connection with Allah will be so strong that it is as if that previous entity is a stranger to the new one. That should be your goal. And if that is your goal, then indeed, as our Prophet ﷺ said, there is no reward for Hajj that is lesser than Jannah itself. Now, with this, inshallah ta'ala, I will open up the floor for some Q&A. And I don't know, should I be asking, or Raza Bhai, or how do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? Do we want to let me choose, or you're going to choose for me? I guess I will do the choosing then. Yalla, okay, bismillah. So the first question, again, we're getting all of these things. Backpack is totally allowed. There's no problem wearing a backpack instead of ihram. Wearing a knee brace, again, no problem. As I said, all of these questions are about the minutiae of the ihram. There is no kafara for a knee brace. You're actually doing it for medical reasons. No problem. Is it better to stand on Mount Arafat? No, 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 not at all. This is a myth of the Hujjaj. Our Prophet ﷺ explicitly said, I have stood here, Mount Arafat, but all of Arafah is a place of standing. He said this on the day of Hajj while he was standing on the mountain of Arafat. So do not think that standing on Arafat is something that will be more blessed. On the contrary, you are more likely to get lost. You're more likely to suffer from dehydration. By the way, before I forget, you are doing Hajj in the most difficult month, brothers and sisters. Heat will be beyond what any of you has experienced, unless you're coming from Arizona or New Mexico, in which case it'll be your backyard. But even if it's your backyard, it's still heat. Make sure you're drinking water. Make sure you keep on drinking. And if I were you, I'd also bring electrolyte solutions and drink 1 or 2 of those a day as well, tablets as well. But yeah, going to Arafat, Mount Arafat, Jabal Rahma, going to Jabal Rahma is a risk. And I would never advise any new Hajj to do that. Stay in your tent and you will get the exact same reward, because the Prophet said, I happen to be standing here, but all of Arafah is a standing place. Question: at Mina, everyone in my camp would be praying full prayer, but I'm of the opinion that at Mina prayer should be shortened. So what should I do when there will be somebody leading congregation in camp? No, you don't have to be that strict. I also believe that shortening the prayer is sunnah, but khair, if they're praying the full prayer, pray behind them, no problem. Jama'ah is more important than following opinion like this. No big deal. It's not as if you're doing something haram by praying full, but in my opinion, it is sunnah to pray short. But hey, that's my opinion. Obviously, your camp leader has a different opinion. So be it. Don't get lost in the minutiae of Hajj. Brothers and sisters, Allah will accept your Hajj in spite of these small differences. Don't sweat the small stuff, as I keep on saying.
Dr. Yasir, Qadhi, can I read the questions to you? It'll make it easier for you.
It would actually if you choose, because I can't choose, it's too many questions.
So what days can and can't we fast during Hajj?
No, don't fast during Hajj. You're not supposed to fast during Hajj as a Haji, unless certain difficult conditions are met. Do not fast during Hajj, especially in the summer months as well. Your ibadat of Hajj are more important than the fasting. So, and in any case, during the days of Arafah and the days of Tashriq, you're not even allowed to fast. So don't do this. Your ibadat in the haram before Hajj and your rites of Hajj are more beloved to Allah than fasting. So do not fast those days.
Okay. Next question. When is the earliest and latest you can make niyyah on the type of Hajj that we want to perform? Can I wait until the 7th of Dhul Hijjah to make the intention when I'm in Mecca? Or do I have to make the intention before I start?
How can you do that? Because before you enter Mecca, so if you, I see what you're saying. Okay, so if you make the intention for Hajj and you say, oh Allah, I'm doing Hajj, Umrah and Hajj, but you don't say Qiran or Tamattu, and you get to the hotel, no problem. You may change between Qiran and Tamattu, no problem. Because Qiran and Tamattu are essentially at the same level. And that is because you have both Hajj and Umrah. It's only a matter of do you take your ihram off or not. But you must make the intention before the miqat that I'm doing Umrah and Hajj. And in your heart, you decide, you're going to say that, oh Allah, I'm going to decide whether it is Qiran or Tamattu once I get to Makkah, no problem. But you cannot enter Makkah without any intention, and then in Makkah decide I'm going to do Hajj, then you have a penalty. Is that clear? You have to have the penalty because you passed the miqat without any intention. You may change intention or make the intention firm on the 6th, no problem, but you must have already have made an intention to do the Hajj. I hope that's clear, inshallah.
Our package includes Medina after Hajj, then come back to Mecca for one night and then leave for Jeddah. My question is, when should we do Tawaf al-Wada?
On that one night that you come back, yes, no problem. Because Medina is not a separate trip for you. Because for you, you are not home. If your home were Medina, then I would say yes, before you go back to Medina. But Medina is just not a permanent trip for you. So when you come back, that one day, the last thing you do is Tawaf al-Wada.
Okay. Can a woman remove body hair after 1st of Zulhijjah before entering the state of Ihram?
She should. It is sunnah. Between the two ihrams, it is sunnah for men and women to remove their pubic hair.
But she's saying she should do it before the 1st of Zulhijjah. I think the confusion might be for the 10 days that you're not supposed to.
No, that's not applicable on you. That's not applicable on you because you are doing Hajj. So between the two ihrams, you should cleanse yourself totally, no problem. And that means removing that hair.
Mutawaf is taking us to Arafat first. We'll probably go to Mina and pray Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib there and come back to Arafat. Is that allowed? I think this must be a misunderstanding.
I don't think that the Mutawaf will take you to Arafat on the 7th or 8th. I don't think so.
Okay.
Is that the question, that he thinks that Arafat is the 7th?
And then go to Mina and pray Dhuhr, Asr and Maghrib there and come back to Arafat. I don't think that's what the Mutawaf is doing. I think this must be a misunderstanding.
If the Mutawaf is doing this is the first time in history that a Mutawaf will be doing this. Yeah,
True.
I'm not putting it past this year, Allah help you, but I've never heard this happening anytime. So I think it's a misunderstanding.
So again, this is for people who are probably have access to their hotels during the days of Hajj. So on the 11th, 12th, and 13th of Hajj, when we go to stone the shaitan, do we come back to Mecca or stay in Mina during those nights?
You should stay in Mina during the night. During the daytime, you may come back to your hotel if you have hotel access, and then come back to Mina around sunset and stay there for all the night, sunnah, or at least half the night you should stay there. So Mina, you should stay there the 10th night and the 11th night. You stay in Mina the bulk of the night. So the 10th and 11th night, you stay there the bulk of the night. And then the 12th is, of course, you're doing the Rami, and then, I mean, the three stones, and then you may leave the area of Hajj. So daytime of 11th and daytime of 12th, you do not have to remain in Mina, but obviously you have to be in Mina to do the stoning. Logistically speaking, it is very difficult for you to come in and out twice. Very difficult. So what I suggest is that if you have hotel, then on the 10th, after you've done your Rami, you go to the hotel, freshen up, change, and then you may come back before Maghrib on the 10th, stay there for bulk of the night, and then you may come back on the 11th, then come before Maghrib, come at Asr time, and do the Rami at Asr time, because Rami should be done during the daytime. And then you stay there for most of the night. So it's one trip, and you make it before Asr, so you can do the Rami, and then you can stay there at night. This is my advice to you. Logistically, it makes it easier.
Could you please clarify the ruling on wearing a face mask in Ihram? Do we have to give fidya?
In my opinion, you do not have to give fidya, no, because it's a medical reason. Anything that is a medical reason, there is no fidya in this regard. But even if you want to, what is a fidya? You feed 6 people. That is like literally $5, it's like $30 or something, and it's nothing. So the fidya is very trivial. So even though I don't think it is obligatory, go ahead and make yourself feel good and just give $30, $40 sadaqah, and that's your fidya, don't worry.
Yeah. I think this would be this is a question that would clarify the difference between Qiran and Tamattu. When we do tawaf on the 10th, inshallah, after sacrifice, do we do sa'i with it?
If you are doing Qiran, no, you've already done it when you came. And if you're doing Tamattu', yes, you do sa'i on the 10th or 11th or 12th. Here's the point, brothers and sisters. The tawaf and sa'i of Hajj do not have to be done back to back. You may get tired, you want to go back to the hotel, go back to your tents, and come back the next day for sa'i, no problem, if you want to. Because of the rush, tawaf might take you 3-4 hours. Otherwise, it'll take you 20 minutes in off season, right? But in Hajj, a tawaf might take you 3-4 hours of extreme pushing and shoving and stress and heat and dehydration. It is possible by the time you finish, you have given up. I cannot walk another 3 hours of sa'i. So you say, khalas, I'm going to go back. No problem. You do not have to link the tawaf and sa'i. You may go back to your hotel, rest, go back to Mina, rest, and the evening, the next day, come and do the sa'i. But once again, if you are doing Hajj Qiran, 1 sa'i for your entire duration of Hajj. If you're doing Hajj Tamattu', 2 sa'is. 1 when you come, you get out of Ihram, then 1 after the 10th when you're doing the tawaf of the Hajj. The tawaf of the Hajj, you should do the sa'i anytime after that.
Okay, this is a very strange question. I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped at a place between Muzdalifah and Mina when returning to Mina. What is this place, and is it sunnah to stop there?
Don't know, it's not sunnah. These are all logistical things he did. Don't worry about it. This is the minutia, as we said. There is no sunnah. Where the Prophet stops does not become holy for Hajj. He said this himself. He said this himself. So don't worry about these and just stay in Mina, Muzdalifah, Arafat, and you're fine.
It is again a clarification question. Can you please clarify what times we need to be in Mina on the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th? I think it's day versus night.
Yeah, okay. So remember, you will be spending after the 9th in Arafat, you're going to go to Muzdalifah. In Muzdalifah, most of you will spend all the way till Fajr, and that is good. Some of you will decide, I want to leave in the middle of the night, and that is permissible, especially if you're elderly or sick or women or whatnot, and children or whatnot, no problem. You may leave in the middle of the night if you want. Most of you will stay till the morning of the 10th. Now, the 10th is the busy day because there's theoretically 4 things, realistically 3 things, logistically sometimes only 2 things, okay? Because on the 10th, you must do 4 things. What are the 4 things? Number 1, in any order, number 1 is the sacrifice of the animal. That's off of your list because nobody does the sacrifice, somebody else does it. Number 2 is the Rami. You will do the Rami of the largest Jamra. Number 3 is the shaving or the trimming, and these must be done on the 10th. Number 4 is the tawaf, which can be done at any time, 10th, 11th, 12th. It can be done any of those days, no problem. If you want to delay to the next day, I typically myself usually delay it till the evening or something, no problem. You can do that. So on the 10th day, once you've done the Rami, you may leave Mina. You don't have to be in Mina, and you will come back in the evening, because staying in Mina is wajib for the evening, not during the day. On the 11th day, you must do Rami of all three. Rami is done from sunnah wise from Dhuhr up until Maghrib. This is the time that Rami should be done, from Dhuhr up until Maghrib. And the same goes for the 12th as well. Now, if you're elderly or sick and you do it before Dhuhr, no problem, it's permissible. But the sunnah is from Dhuhr up until Maghrib, you should be doing it. You do not have to remain in Mina. But is it sunnah to remain in Mina? Yes, it is. It is good to remain there, do dhikr, do Quran, just, you feel the spirit of Hajj. It is sunnah to remain in Mina during the days. It is wajib to remain in Mina during most of the night. So the 10th night, most of it or all of it in Mina. The 11th night, most of it or all of it in Mina. And then the 12th night is nafil, because the 13th is nafil. So Hajj is 5 or 6 days. 99% of the Hujjaj only do 5 days. Most of you only do 5 days. So then 12th is khalas, you're done. So as soon as you do the Rami, your Hajj is done. You just do Tawaf al-Wada' whenever you leave, and that is the end of Hajj for you.
Jazakallah khair. Sacrificing animal wajib.
Yes, I said this in the wajibat. On the 10th, I went over the wajibat. I said 3 of the things are wajib, and the tawaf is rukun. So other 3 things are wajib. So you must sacrifice an animal for qiran and for tamattu. But again, it's just a payment you give to the government. Nobody goes and actually does it himself.
When it comes to making dua on the day of Arafat, how do you deal with your hands becoming tired while making dua?
You don't have to raise your hands all the time. You may sit down and raise up your finger and just say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. And every once in a while, raise your hands, lower them, do some dhikr and Quran, then make dua in your heart, then raise your hands. So alternate. Nobody has ever kept his hands raised from Dhuhr up until Maghrib. It's not humanly possible. Alternate, take a rest, go walk outside, come back in, no problem.
Can I take a shower in the state of Ihram?
You may take as many showers as you want. It has nothing to do with Ihram. And if any hair falls, no big deal. Don't even think about it. No big deal. Take as many showers as you want. Taking a shower has nothing to do with Ihram. Absolutely nothing.
Can we do Tawaf al-Ifada at night after Isha on the 11th or the 12th?
Yes, you should actually. Personally, I would only do it at night because of the heat. So yes, I strongly encourage you to do Tawaf al-Ifada at night. But Sharia-wise, any time from the 10th up until really the 12th, any time is permissible. There is no blessed day, extra blessed. You just have to do it in the days of Hajj, 13th and even, no problem. But yeah, anytime you can do Tawaf al-Ifada.
Does full Ihram end? The full Ihram end after?
The full Ihram is after Tawaf al-Ifada. But the full Ihram, there's only one thing, that is intimacy with spouse, right? So there's minor Ihram and major Ihram. Major Ihram, full Ihram, is intimacy with spouse. Realistically, you don't have that privacy. That's going to happen. I hope they don't mess up that bad or something. It should not happen there anyway. I mean, obviously, Sharia-wise, after the full Ihram is done, everything is halal. But realistically, it's never happened because there is no privacy. So minor Ihram is removed on the 10th when you do the Rami and shave your hair. Khalas, minor Ihram. So minor Ihram, the clothes, the perfume, the shaving, all of this. It's only intimacy. The intimacy is only after Tawaf al-Ifada, the Tawaf al-Hajj, then full Ihram is lifted.
Is there any requirement apart from niyyah when making Hajj on behalf of a dead person?
Yes, on behalf of somebody, you must make the niyyah when you enter Ihram. You must make the niyyah when you enter Ihram. So when you come to the miqat, you will say, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, O Allah, on behalf of so-and-so. I'm doing Hajj on behalf of so-and-so.
Okay. Can I shave my head myself to get out from Ihram?
Yes, you may, but I wouldn't advise it unless you've done it before. It's very tricky, logistically. But yes, you may, no problem.
Okay. Can someone in Ihram shave the hair for another person?
Obviously, yes. All of this is completely permissible. As I said, sometimes people make Islam way too difficult. Of course they will. How else are people going to do this? No problem.
Is there any special reward for Arafat being on a Friday?
Yeah, we say that Friday is blessed, Arafah is blessed. So when the two are combined, nurun ala nur, no problem if you consider it more blessed. Yes, no problem.
Okay. Is it wajib to write the will before leaving for Hajj?
No, it's not wajib before Hajj. It is wajib anytime you think you might leave this world. So yeah, you should. Anytime.
Okay. Do we spend time at Muzdalifah until half the night, or spending half a night is required?
So again, who do you ask? There's a bit of a gray area. If you ask me, the Hanbali madhab, which I follow generally speaking, you must stay in Muzdalifah until the middle of the night, even if you arrived late. So suppose the middle of the night is 12:20 a.m. and your bus arrives at 11. In my opinion, you must remain till 12:20, and then you may leave. If your bus arrives after 12:20, beyond your fault, and you come to Muzdalifah, khalas, your wajib has been lifted. Now, some madhabs are more stricter. They say you must remain till Fajr. And some madhabs say that Muzdalifah is sunnah, not even wajib. So you have the whole spectrum, which is why I said you don't want to become a faqih overnight. Just stick to an authority. If you ask me, it makes sense to me that Muzdalifah is a wajib. You try your best to get there on time. If you cannot get there because of circumstances beyond your control, then it is forgiven. But you must make an effort to get there before the middle of the night. Wallahu a'lam.
I have long hair to the shoulder. For Umrah, is it okay to cut a few inches? Is that considered trimming, or should I cut more like 3 or 4 inches because I intend to completely shave after Hajj?
So my position on the trimming of the hair is that the hair is trimmed from all over the head, not just from the bottom, unless you're a female. If you're female, then you hold your head in a forelock and then you just cut just this much. That's it. But if you're male, my opinion, the opinion of the majority of the madhabs and scholars, and this is what makes sense as well, is that for the male, the cutting is not symbolic. For the female, the cutting is symbolic. For the female, the cutting is symbolic. She just takes her hair and cuts a little bit, just this much. It's symbolic. For the male, the cutting is not symbolic. Hence, you cut all over like you would at a barber. You cut from all over the hair. And whatever constitutes cutting is cutting. So you cut from all over, and then you delay the shaving until after the Hajj, because it is more blessed to shave. And so you delay that for the Hajj. Wallahu a'lam.
If we're doing Hajj tamattu, taking ihram off between Umrah and Hajj, then do you have to leave the haram area to go put on the ihram and return?
No, not at all. No. You wear ihram from your hotel room on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah.
Okay, this is a specific question for a woman. If a woman is spotting but not in menses, what is the ruling?
So she uses her best judgment, and generally speaking, spotting is not considered like menses, and she uses her best judgment. And if she's taking medication, then for sure, generally speaking, spotting would not be menses, but she knows best, and she will judge her bleeding based upon her knowledge of what it is and her best assumption. And Allah will not call her to task for her best assumption. If she genuinely feels that, no, this can't be my menses, this is just stress, this is close to menses, completely overlooked, and don't worry about it.
Subhanallah. So again, this is not directly regarding the fiqh, but it is broad enough. You mentioned that to correct our intention to come back as a new person, what advice, suggestion do you have for this? I'm scared of going and not coming back changed.
All of us are scared. That the fact that you're scared is good news. If you weren't scared, you should be scared. You should be scared you're not scared. The fact that you're scared is itself a sign of sincerity. We only try. That's it. We only try. So we try our best. We ask Allah for hidayah. And in that struggle is our salvation. We will never attain perfection. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you from now, when you return from Hajj, don't expect to be angels, but expect to be better than when you left. That's really the goal. Don't think when you come back, khalas, and you're going to be walking in the air and flying in the earth. You're going to be human, and you will still get angry, and you will still, astaghfirullah, backbite or do something you shouldn't do. But the goal is you will see a marked difference in your lifestyle, in your attachment to the masjid, in the curbing of your sins, in the increasement of your dua and dhikr and Quran. And as long as you are a healthy place above where you left, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. That's all I can say. Don't expect salvation, but hope for forgiveness. Okay?
Do
We
we
have
need-
5 minutes left. I have to leave at 8, unfortunately. So I have another
Yes,
event.
we have far more questions. We will never be able to get all of them. I'm sorting through them and really picking up those pertaining to Hajj. Do we need to perform Tawaf al-Wada before going to Medina, before going to Medina after Hajj? This person doesn't say if they're coming back to Makkah. If I'm to assume the question is, I'm going to Medina after Hajj and then I'm leaving from there.
Yeah. If you're leaving from Medina, you must perform Tawaf al-Wada before leaving from Medina. If you are going to Medina and then coming back to Makkah, in my humble opinion, Tawaf al-Wada should then be done when you come back to Makkah and then leaving for your home, because Tawaf al-Wada is done before you leave for your home, not before you leave for a local place like Medina.
Can I do multiple Umrah for me and my passed away fathers while I am in Tamattu?
You may do so in between the Tamattu era. You may do so. It's not wrong to do so. Or even after Hajj, if you remain for a week after Hajj, you may do so as well, no problem. But obviously, during Hajj, obviously, you cannot do another Umrah because Hajj is itself, okay?
Okay, I think I've answered this question as well. Can we combine prayers in Mina or has to be done only on the 9th?
If you ask me, it is sunnah to shorten the prayers on the 8th and the 10th and 11th and 12th in Mina, but not to combine. And that it is sunnah to shorten and combine in Arafah. Is that clear? So in Mina, we shorten but not combine. We pray each prayer at its time. This is sunnah. And in Arafat, and in Muzdalifah, we shorten and combine. Okay. Now, some madhabs don't want to shorten in Mina. No problem. Follow your group. Allah is Ghafoor and Rahim. These are minor technicalities. Don't make this a big deal and don't break away from the Jama'ah. Follow your Jama'ah, whatever it's doing. You're praying in the end of the day, and it's between the two madhabs, no big deal.
Tawaf al-Wada, do you complete Tawaf, pray Sunnah behind Maqam Zamzam,
Yes.
or is it just Tawaf alone?
No, you do Tawaf, and the two Sunnah, the two prayers, nafil that you do, it is Sunnah. It's never obligatory. For any Tawaf, the 2 rak'ats you pray, it is encouraged. But if you don't pray them, your Tawaf is still separate and valid. No problem. They're not intrinsically linked as a condition. It's just recommendation for all Tawafs.
Can a person enter into the state of Ihram when they're in a state of major impurity?
Yes, no problem. That has nothing to do with entering Ihram. Ihram has to do with saying Labbaik Allahumma. Has nothing to do with the state that you're in.
Okay. Related to Salah in Makkah and Medina, if someone is running late for Salah, should they join the Salah rows outside the hotel? And what should a man do if he finds himself praying behind rows of women?
Yeah, what can you do? What can you do? Allah musta'an. May Allah make it easy. But yeah, sometimes this happened to me too. You try your best and then that's it. It's not, again, as I said, don't make the Sharia more difficult than it needs to be. No, it's not going to be a problem if you tried and beyond your control.
Okay. Can I choose the type of fidya, feeding the poor or sacrifice or fasting after returning?
No, so the fidya, you may, so the fidya for the ihram, you may choose the fasting, but why would you do that when it's so much easier? It's all equal. It's not as if you get more reward. So when that is the case, then it's just easier to give the fidya as a kafara to feed the poor people.
Again, do you say sa'i during Tawaf al-Wada?
No, there is no sa'i in Tawaf al-Wada, no.
Okay, do women, this is the last question by the way, do women on menses have to give fidya if they cannot perform Tawaf al-Ifada and Wada? And
Okay,
second part is, can Tawaf al-Ifada and Wada be combined? This is the last question.
Okay, so listen carefully. I did not go over all of this about women's menses and whatnot. Now, if a woman feels that she will be in her menses from the 9th onwards to when she leaves, from the 9th until her plane departs, she will wait. She will do all the other arkan, all the other wajibat she will do. She will wait until the plane is about to depart by whenever she has to go to the airport by 6-7 hours. And then if her menses, for whatever reason, has not finished, she will protect herself so that nothing leaks. And she will do tawaf in that state as a darura, like the one who doesn't have water does tayammum, like the one who is not able to pray standing will pray sitting. It's a darura. So in that state, she will then do tawaf in her menses, but she will delay it till a reasonable time before her departure, just in case it might finish. A reasonable time. So don't wait till the last minute. Like if the bus has to leave at 6 p.m., she will start at 12 or 11, so that she knows she can finish on time. It'll take maybe 3 hours, 4 hours. She will do the tawaf in that state. Now, by the way, sa'i does not need to have tahara, any type of tahara. So even the one without wudu, or if somebody is in janaba for some reason, or a woman in her menses, she may do her sa'i. So in that case, the woman in her menses might even choose to do her sa'i before the tawaf al-ifada, no problem. And so she'll do it on the 10th, and she'll wait and wait and wait. And if she becomes pure, alhamdulillah, she'll do the tawaf al-ifada, and no need for her to repeat the sa'i, because you don't have to do it in tartib in the hajj. In the umrah, you have to do it in order. In the hajj, you can do it the other way around, especially if there's a need to. So the woman will then do her tawaf in her state. Now, as for the woman in menses, there is no tawaf al-wada'. It is forgiven. So if a woman fears that her menses will begin on the 11th or 12th and her plane will depart on the 15th or 16th, she must rush to do her tawaf al-ifada as soon as she gets out of Muzdalifah. She might even skip over Mina if she wants to and go straight to the haram. From Muzdalifah, she goes to Mecca, which is, you can get a cab, you can do that. And she'll do her ifada so that she's out of the technicalities of the ifada, and then she can continue. Then her menses begin. There is no tawaf al-wada' on the menstruating woman. This is forgiven, no kafara. Can somebody combine ifada and wada'? Yes, and there is no need for kafara, and there is no need for an excuse. So if you're doing Hajj and your plane is departing on the 14th even, because you can do ifada even after the days of Hajj if you are still in Mecca, you're not going anywhere. So your plane's departing on the 14th of the Hijjah, and you've done everything. You're doing Qiran, so you've done your tawaf and sa'i in the beginning. You may, if you choose to, but frankly, I'll be honest, it's a type of lessening of reward, because buy one get one free type of philosophy. You don't play games with the Sharia for no reason unless there's a need. Otherwise, the default, you do extra. But if you're elderly, if you're with an elderly parent, if you're sick, if you're very tired, whatnot, feverish, you can't do it, no problem. But even if you don't have an excuse, by the way, it is permissible, but I'm just saying it's not encouraged. You may combine ifada and wada' and make it your last action, and then from there leave as soon as your bus leaves, basically, and then that will be combining the both, and that is acceptable. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.
Shaykh, Dr. Yasir Qadhi, Jazakumullah khair. I hope that people benefited from this. I chose questions from each of the different aspects of it so that they should be coverage. I'll leave you up to you for the last words before we actually end this.
So my last piece of advice to all of you is that, subhanAllah, as I said, do not get lost in the technicalities. Understand the spirit. Allah says in the Quran, Al-Hajj ashrum ma'lumat. Hajj is done in the sacred months. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Make sure that you're not arguing and you're not using vulgar talk and you're not committing sins during the Hajj. This is the real fiqh of Hajj. Don't commit sins. Don't push and shove people. Don't get angry. Don't use vulgarities. And believe you me, you will be tested in all of these things during the next few days, especially this year. And that's all I'm going to say. Especially this year. Allah help you all for what you're about to face, which nobody knows. Maybe even your hosts don't even know what you're about to face. Allah musta'an. Allah make it easy for you. You're in our du'as. Be patient. But that doesn't mean you don't try to get your rights. But I'm saying don't lose your patience, right? Don't lose your patience, because you're there for Allah. Allah might test and try you in different ways. So this is the real fiqh of Hajj, and that's the spirit of Hajj. Go there with this intention in mind, that it's going to be a sacrifice. You're going to face some difficulties, but that's the whole purpose. You reassess why you're there. You keep yourself in check. You make dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla to accept, and then inshallah ta'ala you aim to come back a different man. And when you're there, brothers and sisters, make sure you remember everybody in your du'as, the entire Muslim ummah. Don't forget all of those who are in pain and suffering. Don't forget all of those who are in financial difficulties. Don't forget all of those who are being persecuted because of the kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Don't forget your family and friends. Think of them name by name, every single person. And also, don't forget any of the religious scholars that might have benefited you along the way, inshallah ta'ala. Remember all of us in your du'as. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, that concludes our webinar. We hope that is useful to you. And as Shaykh Yasir Qadhi mentioned, be patient and remember all of us in your dua. And we hope you'll be back home safely. Barakallahu fikum. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
السلام